My today's guest is Mauro Casellini from Bitcoin Suisse Liechtenstein AG. He started his career as a banker in Liechtenstein. He started to develop the first products and services for blockchain companies with a bank in Liechtenstein, and then he became the CEO of a blockchain company in Liechtenstein. He's also a board member of the Crypto Country Association. So he will share not only his journey he had from being a banker to a CEO of a blockchain company, he will also share his experiences about the ecosystems in Switzerland and Liechtenstein. I'm really looking forward to our discussion. Welcome to Coffee from the Block from the House of Blockchain in Liechtenstein. My today's guest is Mauro Casellini. He is the CEO of Bitcoin Suisse Liechtenstein AG and head of Bitcoin Suisse Europe. Welcome, Mauro. It's a big pleasure to have you here.
It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you, Thomas, for the invitation.
We know us, I think 2015 when I started my own law firm. That was our first contact, and back then you were at Bank Frick, right?
Yes, definitely a long time. And in crypto years, we are already an old couple.
Yeah, that is actually true. And these are completely different times, right? I mean, what were you doing at Bank Frick when you started there, and how they developed to become a crypto-friendly bank, so to speak?
Yeah, it was very interesting when I started at Bank Frick in 2013. It was definitely already a bank that moved into the direction of payment and digital business models, fintech, and I was able to build it up together with a team there, with the CEO and the chairman. And yes, 2015, many blockchain companies knocked on our doors and asked for bank accounts, because it was quite difficult to get a bank account as a crypto company that is working together with this so-called Bitcoin. What's that doing? And it was really interesting when you also came by and we spoke about some business models that we could do and work on. And it was really an impressive and very interesting time since then. From 2013 to 2019, I worked at Bank Frick, and it was impressive to see what we were able to build there, from no business offering in the blockchain space to a full business offering with direct investment in crypto, with offering services for crypto funds, for crypto companies, and so on. And it grew a lot, and it's impressive to see what's also possible in Liechtenstein and what was already possible before we had a blockchain act, and now with the blockchain act even more is possible.
But what clients were asking back then and still do is actually just banking services, right? They wanted to have a bank account. They wanted to be able to pay in fiat. That was the first demand they had.
Definitely, that's the first demand they have, but definitely they are also looking for safe custody solutions with an institutional grade custody solution. Also, what, for example, we at Bitcoin Suisse offer. They look for a professional local provider that exchanges their crypto, because yes, they know that they can do that with some offshore or bigger exchanges that are somewhere else in the world, but they are happy to have the provider of their fiat gateway, so where they get their crypto changed to a normal currency, local in Switzerland, in Liechtenstein, in Europe, and not somewhere abroad, because they are scared that something could happen or that they do something that's legally not 100% compliant.
We will talk a little bit more about your role at Bitcoin Suisse later. Let us focus a little bit more on that time when actually everything started in Liechtenstein and in Switzerland. The crypto valley had a lot of companies, and more companies were moving to the crypto valley. And I remember that we were at a conference dinner, and there was one representative of the crypto valley actually stating on stage that he's happy to see that one representative of Liechtenstein Bank is also here, and that back then the crypto valley would not be existing anymore without Liechtenstein banking. So banking was crucial in the beginning, and we already said what they needed is actually banking services, traditional banking services. But then you moved on from a bank with a service offering also for blockchain and crypto companies to Bitcoin Suisse and Bitcoin Suisse Liechtenstein AG. Mm-hmm. Can you tell us a little bit more, why did you move from the banking industry to a crypto company? And I think it's fair to say It's not yet anymore, but it was a startup, right?
Definitely, yes, quite a good question. And for that, I definitely need to start again at Bank Frick, because it was impressive what we were able to build there. Because compliance, risk, finance, trading, every single department of the bank had to learn what this blockchain topic is, how to work with it, which things they need to take care of, and we build up a really amazing team there that is still there and still is growing every day, and it's impressive to see what's still going on there. And on the other side, it was for me the time after 6 years at Bank Frick to move on, to build something new, because what I love is build things from scratch. And therefore, Bitcoin Suisse Liechtenstein was founded already, but no one was working there. And therefore, I was able to build there up a team, work on a service offering, support the Swiss a lot, and build there up, really, as you said, the startup to this now with more 300 employees company, where we really grow, offer new things, and build up new things. And that's still what I love to do, because yes, Bitcoin Suisse is not a startup anymore, but it's still a startup in the spirit. And you can clearly see that how we work on new service offerings, staking, for example.
You're one of the biggest, or of the biggest staking service providers.
Exactly, we're one of the biggest staking service providers in the world. We also try to always work with newer protocols, newer staking services for them. For example, now we were able to announce that for Glimmer, Polkadot parachain, we now offer staking. So it's impressive.
But what is staking? Can you explain that a little bit, like in very brief?
Yeah, really in a nutshell. So on one side we have this proof of work consensus mechanism for Bitcoin and other blockchains that use a lot of energy, that you need to use a lot of power from a computer that solves a puzzle. And if they solve the puzzle, transaction will be approved and can be moved on. It needs, as mentioned, a lot of energy. On the other side, we have this proof of stake mechanism, where in a nutshell, you use your assets, you block them in a smart contract, and with the blocked assets, thanks to an algorithm, you can approve transactions. And if you do something wrong, they will fine you for that, and they have your assets and they can take your assets away. Therefore, you need to do the right thing, because the system will always find out if you do something wrong.
Okay, so you, as you said, you provide these services as well. Let me come back. You said that Bitcoin Suisse Liechtenstein AG was already founded and incorporated when you started. How did a company with Switzerland in its name, in its company name, end up in Liechtenstein? Do you know what was it, a strategic decision, or what's the reasoning behind that?
Yeah, I think the first step that they realized is, as mentioned by you from this event, Liechtenstein was already very important from a banking perspective. And the next benefit that we have in Liechtenstein, Liechtenstein is a member of the European Economic Area. So if you really go to the highest level and have a license, for example, investment firm or banking license or e-money, you are allowed to passport your services all over Europe. That's not possible with Switzerland. Switzerland is in Schengen, but not in the European Economic Area, and therefore they are blocked to offer their services actively all over Europe. And Liechtenstein offers that possibility. And on the other side, also back then, it was quite clear that the regulator in Liechtenstein and the business is open for crypto. They know what they do, they know how to handle your service offering, and that's why they decided to open a second company in Liechtenstein to move on, to grow, to get bigger.
And now you live in Liechtenstein, actually, yes. And you were born in Switzerland, and you lived for quite a big part of your life, I think, in the region of Chur, right?
Yes.
And so you live in both ecosystems, so to speak. I mean, you can say that the Crypto Valley, and some people actually do that. They consider Liechtenstein to be part of the Crypto Valley. Then we are both in the board of the Crypto Country Association, so we differentiate between the Crypto Valley and the Crypto Country. But I think in essence, it's our region, right? It's one ecosystem. But you live in both ecosystems, so you are sometimes in Zug and you are sometimes in Vaduz. How would you compare these two ecosystems from your perspective, living in both worlds?
It's interesting to say that exactly, yes, it's valley and country, it's different and still the same. it's a 1 hour and 30 minutes drive. So if you speak with someone from London, he will laugh and say, but I daily commute, I have the time to commute daily because with the public transport you have 1.5 hours to come from where you live to your work. So it's so close, and still in a Swiss perspective it's far away. And still it's the same. So it's if you're in Zug, if you're in Zurich, if you're in Liechtenstein, you can clearly feel, if I speak with these blockchain companies, that they would like to change the world. And what I really, really love in the blockchain space compared to the old traditional finance world, everyone would like to help you. If you have a problem and you speak with someone and he can open you a door, he will open that door for you. And that's happening in Switzerland and in Liechtenstein, and also someone in Liechtenstein can open me a door in Switzerland and the other way around. And that's what I love. So they will connect you with the people that you need to be connected.
Do you think it's because there is anyway so much more room to improve and to develop and to really build things, and so there's not much competition, so to speak? Do you think that that is the reason why, or is it more of that it is really a open source minded crowd and community which help each other out, or why do you think this is the case?
Both. It's definitely on one side there are competitors that help each other. Even if they are really, really competitors and they fight for every single client, they help each other. So it's the open source and growing these things thinking that helps them. And on the other side, it's definitely also the way that it's still a small and young business area that needs to grow, and therefore we need everyone to survive. We need to have the possibility to help everyone to grow, to get bigger, to get new clients, to offer something new. And that's really important because on the other side, if something bad happens to a good player, the news will write about it, and that's not what should happen. So we need to help each other, we need to grow, we need to show the world how good Switzerland and especially Liechtenstein is.
And if you allow me to ask you, you are, as I said, a member of the board of the Crypto Country Association. So what is your role there, and how do you help like Liechtenstein to be seen or to develop the ecosystem?
Yes, I'm a board member of the Crypto Country Association for many years now. And I help in my role as a board member, but also because I'm really there to help people to find the right contacts. For example, in Liechtenstein, the right lawyers, the right trustees, the right tax auditors, the right audit firm, contact to the government, because that's also what's impressive in Liechtenstein. If you would like to meet the government or the regulator, you can do that. You can write them an email, you can call them, and they will have time for you. It's really great how small the area is and still how big or how much you can achieve. And that's really impressive to see, because you can meet in one day the government, the regulator, your lawyer, the bank, and also some other companies. And that's amazing. You do not lose time if you set something up in Liechtenstein.
And I think that open dialogue allows you in an area where not everything is clear. I mean, we have to be aware of that, especially when all of that started, that there were no clear rules, there were no decisions or court decisions or guidance of regulators. I mean, that started then to happen, but there was nothing or not a lot of really information which could help you there. And I think in an area where not everything is clear, it's very helpful to have an open dialogue with regulators, with the government, to discuss new things and new developments.
And that was impressive because, as you said, there was no clear rule. There were possibilities to sit together with the lawyer, the bank and the company, with the regulator, and speak about the possibilities. How could we do that every single counterparty in this environment is happy and does everything the right way, that especially the regulator and the government is happy. It was possible. There were the possibilities where the regulator even told us, yeah, if we do it this way, it will not work, but think about that way. That could work. And that's amazing. They helped us really a lot to offer the services as a bank, and especially offer the services to our clients.
I think that some people are interested how this, you briefly mentioned the Blockchain Act in the beginning. So this blockchain law is enforced since 1st of January 2020. And I think I checked yesterday, we now have 20 or 21 companies registered under that Blockchain Act for Services. And some people ask, like, do you think, and I think you did an interview in a local newspaper lately, do you think Liechtenstein can consider this Blockchain Act to be a success? Or if you look at the numbers, that we do have two less registered companies, or what is your perspective on that?
So definitely there are two sides. So one is definitely there are already or still a lot in the pipeline. So I know that the FMA has to do a lot of work at the moment because a lot are working on the registration. But on the other side, thanks to this clear regulation, a lot of companies came to Liechtenstein because they knew they do not need a license, or better, a registration. It's not a license. They do not need a registration.
We have to be very careful with the wording. It's only a registration.
It's clearly 100% a registration, but they knew because they do not offer something to clients, it does not need a registration because they only work with their own money. In other countries, they still do not know if the government and the regulator are happy with what they are doing, but in Liechtenstein they know it. So even if the number is not that big, a lot of companies moved to Liechtenstein. For example, if you look at Eternity Foundation, they are a foundation here with employees sitting here. They do not have a registration because they do not need it.
And they're one of the oldest ones, actually.
Exactly.
They started 2015 or 16, if I remember correctly. So
So it's really great to see that this regulation helped us to understand what really needs a registration and what not. And on the other side, if we look at which companies are registered, there are very interesting ones. And especially what I really, really like is to see next to Bank Freak, another bank with VP Bank, who also sit here and spoke with you. And it's great to see that the big banks of Liechtenstein really consider blockchain as a good thing and that they would like to offer a service based on that technology.
Do we see some more visibility of Bitcoin Suisse in Liechtenstein soon? Can we expect something from you, or is you're working behind closed door and we have a next talk when you have a big news to discuss, or can you already share some info? What's the journey going to look like?
Yes, we're working definitely behind or closed doors on many things. There will be definitely news in the future. We will see how fast they will be there. But it's interesting to see what we are doing, what we are building, and what especially mid to long term will be there.
We already had a lot of coffees together in our business relationship on the one hand. And I remember some very interesting ones back then in Balzers. But we are also friends, and we had some coffees together as well. My last question for every of my guests is actually, what is his favorite or her favorite coffee? So Mauro, what is your favorite coffee?
My favorite coffee is the coffee with a friend and the coffee with an interesting discussion. For me, it's definitely with the coffee from the blog or with your coffee. It's an amazing, great coffee in taste. But what's especially great is how I can speak with you, about what I can speak with you, and what a coffee offers. It offers you the possibility to have a human interaction. And for example, I myself, I only drink coffee if I have the possibility to speak with someone. I'm not someone that drinks coffee the whole day. I drink coffee when I speak with someone, if I have a discussion, if I have an interesting moment.
Interesting. Okay, so I'm trying to make you like coffees you can speak about the coffee as well. Actually, the one I served you today is one with more fruitiness, but also a little bit more acidity. I don't know if you recognize it, but I think that is why we drink coffee, right? That's the saying, that we sit together and discuss things. That's actually also the idea of Coffee from the Block, that we sit together, that we get to know people who are in the ecosystem in Liechtenstein and what they are working on and what their thoughts and insights about the country. So thank you very much, Mauro, for drinking that coffee with me, for sharing all your insights and knowledge you have. I'm really looking forward to have you back again. Hopefully soon, and thanks again for coming.
Thank you, Thomas. Very much looking forward to our next coffee.